Joining me now with a more in-depth perspective on the Temple Mount security situation is Major General Amos Yadlin, the former chief of IDF intelligence and the current head of the Institute for National Security Studies. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good evening.
Good evening. Well, let's begin with perhaps the biggest news of the day, the attack in the Israeli embassy in Jordan. Now, how is this going to affect the relations between Jordan and Israel, in your opinion?
Yeah, we should see it in a wider context. We have three circles of conflict. One on the Temple Mount, second in the West Bank and in Israel, where terror wave is already there from 2015. But what happened on the Temple Mount is relaunching it.
Right.
And there is now a third conflict in the Arab world against Israel. But we have to pay attention that in the Arab world, it's not Jordan and Egypt and the Saudis that pushing it forward. It's the other axis of the Muslim Brotherhood, led by Qatar, Turkey, Hamas, and the Islamic northern part within Israel. And they set the fire. And we all have to remember, it has started from killing 2 Israeli policemen on the Temple Mount.
Now, but with an attack like this in Jordan, even if you're saying that it's not obviously, these tensions aren't coming specifically from the Jordanian nation, are we still going to see, diplomatic ties between these two countries fall now? Is that something that could happen as a result of this?
We have an opportunity here to use this incident maybe to try and de-escalate the Jerusalem crisis.
Right.
Because if Israel will be using this incident, like let the Jordanian police interrogate the guard, because 2 people were killed in the Israeli embassy, and then evacuate them to Israel, and in the same time give the Jordanians a diplomatic achievement by let them lead some compromise.
But we're
on
already
the Temple
seeing,
House.
we're already seeing Bibi essentially vowing to bring this injured guard back home as soon as possible. So,
but this is very tactical. We have to look at it strategically.
Right.
And I think strategically, what we have to do is to do a conference with all the players, with all the positive players, the US, Jordan, Egypt, maybe the Saudis and Israel, and even the PA. Leave Hamas, Qatar and Turkey outside.
Speaking of Turkey, though, we are seeing Israel close its embassies and consulates following riots and an attack on a synagogue in Istanbul. What is this going to say for the future of this supposed reconciliation between Israel and Turkey?
Turkey is playing a very negative role in this Temple Mount crisis. They're paying for those who incite, for those who demonstrate, and we will have to ignore Turkey in this crisis because they cannot play any positive position.
All right, so let's play devil's advocate a little bit here. Are the criticisms that we're hearing being made by the international community valid? What happened on the Temple Mount essentially started from a terror attack where 2 Israeli policemen were killed, right?
Yes, and this is somehow disappear in the international community criticism of Israel. So we have to remember that the security on the Temple Mount is an Israeli responsibility. And Israel should do everything to keep the security. And this is for Muslims more than for anybody else. So the criticism, of course, is unjustified. On the other hand, you have to be very careful not to take forward any claim of an Israeli sovereignty to be in the front.
Right.
Because Israel's sovereignty concerned the Temple Mount 50 years ago was compromised a little bit by Moshe Dayan, who gave the Waqf, and then in the international agreement of peace with Jordan, the Jordanians got some role. So we have to be very careful. And this goes again to my proposal to go forward with an international good guys meeting how to de-escalate this crisis.
Interesting. So you are supporting the idea of bringing international parties into dealing with it. Now Trump actually sent Jason Greenblatt over here. So clearly, the U.S. is trying to get involved. Do you think there's going to be anything that happens as a result of American involvement?
I think the best to lead the process is President Sisi from Egypt,
Interesting.
because as an Arab, he will be more credible to the Arab public.
We are seeing mixed messages from Arab and Muslim leaders around the world. It's unclear. It's unclear what is on people's minds here, right? And you still seem to think that's the right thing to do.
No doubt about it. But unfortunately, as I say, they are, in a way, instead of leading, following the street and the public. And leadership is to look ahead and to show your people where to go. Absolutely. And this is true for them and for our leaders as well.
All right, well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see if everybody takes your advice. Thank you so much for joining us, Aluf Amos Yadlin.